All right. Well, we can go right into Rebecca Taylor with the 4 goats. So we start with that one. Hi, Rebecca, you're muted. Looks like a very expensive hotel you're at.
Sorry, kids in the background.
All right, well, go ahead, tell us your story.
Well, I'd like to have some goats and some chickens. I'm hoping to get a couple of Nigerian dwarf goats, the little ones. They're about the size of a dog.
Have you filed a manure management plan? I saw the application.
I believe that I have. Hold on a second.
Rebecca, oh, there's Hillary. About time. Yeah, we'll just wait for Hillary to come on and so.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Nice to see you, Hillary.
This is Nick Piccarello. Ken, through you, can I ask Rebecca a question? Because the permit I have just mentions 4 small goats. So how many chickens or?
Nick, there's another permit in here. There's 2 permit applications in my packet. One is for goats and one is for chickens.
Oh, my mistake. I didn't, yeah, I just have the one for some reason. Okay.
So
So Hillary, do you have the property manure management plan? Nobody wants to talk today. Hillary.
Hold on, give her a second.
All this high-tech stuff, Ken,
I know, it works wonderful, doesn't it?
makes our lives so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Hillary, you're up.
Okay, what am I up to talk about?
So do you have the manure management plan? You got the application. Do you have the, I didn't see any, the property at all, where it was or anything.
Okay, and we do have that on the plan. Can you pass me that purple file behind you?
Get a site plan.
Yeah, perfect.
Well,
All right, so she's gonna home compost it and she's gonna take the overflow to the transfer station, and I have a site plan that shows me where it's all going.
And that'll work good for you.
Yep, and Becca's on the line if she wants to
Yes,
describe
Becca,
it to
yeah.
us.
Yep. Well,
How many chickens did you say, Becca?
I'm gonna start small, so I was suggesting maybe 12.
Okay,
Probably start smaller than that. So
good. Excellent.
Now, Hillary, do you have any other problems with anything dealing with the
I do
plan?
not. I do not have any problems at this time. We looked at the locations of the wells and all of the animals are outside of the well arcs to abutting properties.
Okay, do we have any other questions from the board?
Hillary,
No,
just
I
to confirm,
think
you
the
do have a
application-
site plan? Oh,
Yes, I do.
And it's all.
And
in
I've
order?
got about 14 of them right here.
Oh, yeah, exactly, because we didn't get any. Okay, very good. As long as it's acceptable.
Yes, yes, it's totally acceptable.
Yeah, okay.
Great, great.
All right, so can I ask for a motion from the board?
I move to accept Rebecca Taylor's farm animal stable permit application for 12 chickens and 4 small goats.
I
And
have
good
a
luck.
second.
Thank you.
All in
Nichols
favor?
second.
Water,
I'll
water
second it.
testing, Hillary, any water testing required or any
She's
ramifications?
already done the water
done.
testing for her
It's done.
property.
Great, I see that, and there's no future,
No.
no future requests then, right?
Just yearly, much like we would recommend for anyone.
Okay, great. Good, Becca.
Okay,
Great, thank
so we
you.
got a motion, we got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Nick,
Aye.
aye.
1-0. Congratulations.
Thank you. The
Okay,
kids will be
enjoy,
very
Becca.
happy.
Enjoy.
Enjoy the eggs.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Call me if you get any fainting goats.
All right.
All right, now.
Ken, did you say 5-0?
4-0.
No, 5. There are 5 of us.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's correct, 5. There's 5.
Good for you, Deb.
4-0. I apologize. There's the agenda. All right, what's up next? 115 Cove Road.
Hi, good evening. I'm Stephanie Sequin. I'm an engineer with Ryder and Wilcox. And I'm representing James Arnold, who's the owner of the property at 115 Cove Road. This is a over 6-acre piece of land. It's all buildable upland. Currently, there's 2 dwellings on the property. The main house, according to the assessor's office, dates back to the 1900s. I think Mr. Arnold, it's much older than that. And there's another cottage that's on the property. The property is under agreement to be sold. So the cesspool, the main house is served by cesspools. So we know that those have to be upgraded in order to allow the transfer. The system for the cottage is a 78 code system. It's a 1,000-gallon septic tank, distribution box, and leaching pit that was installed or upgraded in 1986. We inspected that system and submitted a septic inspection report and found no indication of failure. The system is in good shape. We verified adequate separation to groundwater. So what's being proposed here is just a plan to upgrade replace the cesspool serving the main house with a new Title V system. The existing house is located close to the road. This area of the front of the property is basically the lowest part of the property. And then behind the house, the grade rises up fairly steadily, all the way to the back of the lot. The existing well is located in the front of the house. So in order to maintain the 100-foot separation between the existing well and the proposed leaching system, we are obviously the leaching system is going to go in the back of the house. There are 3 separate pipes, 3 separate waste pipes that we are tying into one common septic tank. And maintaining gravity flow from the existing waste pipes into the proposed septic tank there, into the distribution box and ultimately into the soil absorption system. Because pipes are going down, grade is going up. All of the components are going to be greater than 3 feet below grade, below the final surface. So we are requesting variances from Title V to allow the proposed septic tank to be approximately 4 feet below grade. So a 1-foot variance there. The distribution box will be approximately 5 feet or no more than 5 feet below grade. So a 2-foot variance on the distribution box. And the soil absorption system will be just under 6 feet below grade. So we're asking for a 3-foot variance on the soil absorption system. Title V does state in situations where septic system components are going to be greater than 3 feet below grade, they should all be heavy duty components, which we have specified H20 units in this system design. And the leaching system should be vented to mitigate for that additional depth of cover over the leaching system. So we have specified a vent to be part of this leaching system installation. Think that's all I have on this. I do want to point out this initially started out as I was contacted by Mr. Arnold when he was putting the house on the market and knew that the septic system had to be upgraded in order to sell the property. Since then, the property has come under agreement and is scheduled to be sold in the very near future. So I've also been, the buyer has been somewhat involved in the design process here. And given the fact that it is 6 acres, the existing house currently only has 3 bedrooms. They wanted the system oversized to allow the potential for 2 additional bedrooms in the future. That's not being proposed now. But it just, obviously makes sense if we're putting a system in the ground on 6 acres. It would be crazy not to oversize it to allow the future expansion. So I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. And I would be happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
All right, Hillary, what are your concerns or anything about this plan?
Well, I'm thinking through the section. Stephanie and I have spoken, and Gary and I have spoken about a facility, and a facility is a whole lot and multiple buildings on the lot, and upgrading the whole facility. Now, I've scoured Title V in the short amount of time that I've had, and it seems like that section is relative, not on the upgrade of a failed system, but on an expansion or an increase in flow. So I'm sort of hung up on this. And I'm not sure where to go at this point because we are increasing the flow for future expansion, which would warrant the upgrade of the whole facility. But at this moment, we're not increasing the flow.
And by the way, we also have neighbors, abutting landowners on here too, that we'd like to ask some questions when we can.
Sure, we'll get to you as soon as the board
contemplates
contemplates the application, of course.
Go
So
ahead,
I
Hillary.
offer those comments. Gary, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the way that I read that, it's pretty clear that all the systems on the lot have to be upgraded to Title V today. That's the way that we've always rolled since the 95 code change. I know that if we could only upgrade certain portions of certain systems in certain lots, that would have made my life a heck of a lot easier. Unfortunately, that is not the case. And so I am looking for an upgraded system for both the 1 bedroom and the main house. If they want to connect them together, that's certainly fine by me. Having a 5 bedrooms, proposed, none of that's an issue. I just want to see consistency because this is the way we've been rolling here with Title V for many years. So that's my input. Thank you.
Okay. Janet, Nick, do you have, Deborah? Go ahead, Deb.
Yes, thank you, Ken. In reading the letter, it says there are several cesspools on the property. How many cesspools on the property currently?
I would say there's 2 that we know of serving the main house. One I have shown to the north of the house. There's another one in back somewhere. The general location was just sort of pointed out to me by Mr. Arnold. There's also a freestanding building in the center of the plan, not the center of the lot, that has a shower and I believe a sink. Whether that's a cesspool or a dry well, I'm not too sure. So I would say there are 3 cesspool / dry wells that we know of.
3 or 4? I
Possibly 4. There's, we have not looked for cesspools. There are several plans that I've looked at that have conflicting information about exactly where the cesspools are. It is something that during the upgrade, that's going to have to be, the contractor is going to have to follow the pipe and see where it ends, and whatever they find, they'll have to abandon.
Janet and Nick, you have any other questions or thoughts?
No, it sounds like there are several things that have to be squared away though before we can bring this to a vote, I think.
Right.
I certainly defer to Gary's and Hillary's experience with this. I haven't faced this issue before, so, but it seems like we're not really ready to push this thing forward yet.
Is
Janet,
there an
anything?
alternative that we could seek? Hillary, what's the alternative that we could seek here?
We could seek an upgrade of the cottage. We could connect the cottage into the proposed system.
As Gary said, okay,
Right.
great.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a question. I think, is it Gary who first commented and said, what section of Title V is it that you feel is mandating the other system be upgraded? And do you, just for my own clarification, do you believe that is required regardless of whether we're asking for a variance?
Well, you're not asking for a variance to allow a 1,000-gallon tank and a leach pit with no D-box. You're not asking for that. However, there is a D-box with that?
Yes.
Okay. However, I think it's under the what is the section, Hillary, that has the upgrade?
Well, that's what I was trying to find, and I see the increase in flow and upgrade. And I will find it for you.
Stephanie, we'll find that section, but it's in the code.
Okay.
We'll find that section for you, but you can't just upgrade half, if there's several buildings on the lot and you can't bring just one of them up to code. You have to bring them all up to code.
At the time of sale.
I don't have the code in, but we
I
can get
have
you
it in
that,
front of
Stephanie.
me.
Is it possible, I'm just trying to, there is a closing scheduled. And I think it's probably, you don't meet for another month, or do you have another meeting in 2 weeks?
We're meeting, our next scheduled meeting would be the second Wednesday in February.
Okay. Which I think is after the closing date. Would anyone consider, I guess, first of all, how does the board feel about the variances that we have requested, not considering that, whether or not the other system has to be upgraded or not?
I don't have a problem with the variances.
Okay.
I think overall you'll be all set except for the issue of upgrading the entire property.
Okay,
What
so
what we could do is we could approve the plan pending Hillary receiving the upgraded system for the 1-bedroom cottage.
okay, and
Now-
with the understanding that it might be either through, I'm just looking, I looked at the elevation, the invert elevation going into the cottage tank currently is elevation 15 roughly. And the elevation of my proposed tank is closer to 19. So I cannot get gravity flow from the cottage to the proposed septic system. And I'd have either have to put in a pump, or I could do a separate system for the cottage.
Separate, sounds like a separate system would
System.
probably be much preferable. You
Probably.
you don't want to have pumps if you don't have to have them.
Right,
And plus pumping in front of a septic tank is a no also, so.
that's true. Yep.
So that would be the way that I would feel that would best serve this property and really, you know, give the cottage a proper septic system.
No, well, it says Susan Gersten. Are you a party of the purchase or are you a neighbor?
We're neighbors. I'm Steve Gersten and Sue. We bought our property from the Arnolds. We built a house here. And so we abut the Arnold's property, and we're new to Wellfleet. We moved here in May, and we just wanted to have an understanding of, you know, our well is on the part of our property that's closest to the Arnold's property. And then we have a septic, and we just wanted to understand, you know, what, if any, risk these variances would present to our own property, and the fact that there may be these cesspools that are known or not known, whether they're going to be disturbed. We're looking for guidance from the board in terms of risk to our own property, our own well water, and our own septic by upgrading or increasing to a 5-bedroom a system and having these variances granted.
Okay, well, anything that takes a cesspool out of the ground is gonna be a good thing for you. Hillary, what is the distance from the design of the septic to their well?
It's well over 100 feet.
Okay, we would just
they're
require,
protected.
what was that, Gary?
I said they're protected with the well.
Yeah, we just require 100 feet from a well to a system. So anything that gets done on this property at this time is going to be a good thing. And having that such a larger property, even with a 5-bedroom house, you're good. You know, I would not be overly concerned about the water quality that you will have.
And does the 100 feet, is more distance required when the septic is going to be lower down than is required by the code? No.
So Hillary, anybody else have any questions?
And is there any impact on our own septic system from the septic?
No.
system?
No.
I would just like to follow up on Debbie's inquiry about the number of cesspools. I think we need to know that where the cesspools are, how many there are, and get them out of there.
You want to be able to,
Yeah, I think that's the first thing that we should certainly require, aside from what you're saying, Hillary.
So Hillary, what is our next step concerning the property? Well, do you want to make an emotion to approve a plan with the new designs? Gotta go to Hillary. What does the board think?
Well, to be honest with you, at this point, when you consider the cesspool locations needing to be identified and the fact, Stephanie, can you get this new system for the cottage without variances? You probably could, right?
Probably, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of room over there.
That's what it looked like to me.
We verified more than 4 feet separation from the bottom of the pit to the groundwater. So if we put in a shallow field where we should be able to maintain the 5-foot separation.
Well, that sounds like it would be the way to go. And then Hillary, could they perk at the time of construction?
Yeah, of course.
That could help you, Stephanie.
That would be a huge help.
Yeah, just witness the perk at time of construction.
We do that often.
So
That
do
would be
you-
a way to expedite things.
All right, so do we want to approve a plan for this with the understanding that you're gonna have a secondary plan for the cottage and approve the variances that are out there now?
Well, the cottage wouldn't have any variances.
Yeah, the cottage wouldn't have any, but the initial plan that we're going to approve tonight, if we go that way.
Ken, this is
Yes,
Debbie.
Deb.
I really want to know where those cesspools are before we go any further. I think the plan is deficient because we don't know exactly where all of them are.
No, I short of, going out with a backhoe or a mini excavator and there's no crawl space under here. So I can't go in I mean, never mind a basement. I can't go in the basement and see where the pipes go out and, follow them. It would entail somehow digging up at the foundation to find the pipes and then follow them out to wherever they end. I do have a note on the plan. The contractor shall verify locations of all existing cesspools, pump and fill with clean sand. So that is part of the septic installation is one, they've got to find the existing waste pipes so that they can connect them to the new tank. Once they have found the waste pipes, then they can snake them and see where they end up and expose the cesspool, see if there's an overflow and track it down that way. But it would be a pretty big undertaking to try and determine that now, where all the cesspools are.
Can I jump in at this point? This is Jim Arnold, the property owner.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I know where the cesspools are. There are two cesspools that are in the backyard of the main house. I believe they show on the plan. There's the one primary cesspool and an overflow. They're inside the near part of the backyard of the big house. There is a small dry well for the shower house that is out in what we refer to as the back part of the backyard. That's for a shower and a sink. There's let's see, I don't know that there's any other subsurface sites on the property other than those. And I thought
Jim,
that
is
yeah.
there one off the end of the kitchen?
Yes, there is. There's one
Yeah, okay.
off the end of the kitchen, a dry well that's down there just to the north of the driveway. And that, I think that shows on the plan to be
Yes.
picked up. And I thought in the plan that the Title V system in the cottage was inspected and was approved.
Hillary, could you answer that one?
It was inspected and it was improved, but we were not seeing at that time a failure that went along with the main dwelling. And
Yeah,
an
I know, but
upgrade to the main dwelling.
the idea of connecting the cottage to the main Title V system would seem to be redundant if the the existing Title V system for the cottage has been inspected and has been approved.
Except that it's
however,
a pre-95 code system.
Well, where do we want to go from here, Hillary?
It all
You wanna
depends
just-
on what the board is comfortable with. I think we have a general understanding of where the cesspools are. There's a note on the plan to pump and fill those. And I think Stephanie understands that the existing one-bedroom cottage needs to be upgraded as well. So if we want to move ahead in the interest of her client's closing, I think we can do so with those conditions if the board is comfortable.
I'm comfortable with that.
Janet?
Okay.
I don't know, I guess the closing is the closing is the closing and has a lot of people involved in it. I understand that, but I don't feel the surety of exactly where these cesspools are and et cetera, and you know, a room with a shower and dry walls all over the property. I'm just
Well,
concerned.
Well,
I-
why
I
don't
mean-
we, Janet, I'm sorry to interrupt. Why don't we put a condition on that we have to see those cesspools? You know, before they get covered up, we need to see them all. How's that, Hillary?
So cesspool locations to be clearly identified
Yeah.
on the plan.
Yeah, or at time of construction, have them all identified so we can witness them. I think
Yeah,
everybody's trying to do the right thing here. No one wants to allow a cesspool to remain, you know, in use.
All right, so can I ask a motion with necessary requirements on that for any type of restrictions? Hillary, do you have something that could be set up for that?
For the inspection?
Yeah. Could
Yeah.
that be could you do that? Could you word that into a
Yeah,
motion?
of course. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the way to go, probably.
That makes sense, Gary. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for discovering that. I think a site visual is important in this case.
That's fine. We want to expedite. We're not here to obstruct these people and to do what they want to do. We just want to make sure that the code's being followed and everything is proper. That's all.
Right.
Right. Hillary, can we ask for a motion, please?
Yep, hold on, I'm just getting the wording to something that sounds semi-functional here. All right, let's see, here we go. Okay, so we have, I move to approve the Ryder and Wilcox Plan number 12882 dated 12/30/21 and grant the 3 variances requested in the letter of 12/30/21 for the upgrade of a septic system to serve a 3-bedroom structure, subject to the following conditions: design flow to be limited to 580 gallons per day to serve 3 bedrooms, no increase in habitable area or conversion of use without Board of Health review, well water testing, deed recording. The existing 1-bedroom cottage is to be upgraded with plans submitted to the Health Department. The cesspool locations to be clearly identified on an approved site plan or field identified and marked by the engineer. Soils to be evaluated at the time of installation for the cottage system for confirmation with the other pre-existing test holes.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
I,
Nick, I. Nick, I.
All right. 5-0.
All right, well, that was quite a motion.
Sorry.
It was a first. Well done.
All right,
Thank you very much for your help on this. We appreciate it.
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. You.
Thank you, Butters, too.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
For the input.
Never been called a butter before, but.
Excuse me?
I'm just
Never
joking.
been called in a butter. I know.
Have a nice evening.
Well,
Bye.
Good
consider it
night.
done. It's an honor.
All right, so we're next on the agenda. Natural Resources Advisory.
go. Can you hear?
I bet that's why John's here.
Yeah.
Hi, John.
Good evening. My name is John Reel. I'm calling on as chairman of the Natural Resource Advisory Board. One of my fellow members is also here, Laura Hewitt. The discussion is about, hi, Jeanette. The discussion is about ponds, and Laura has a particular interest because she lives on Long Pond.
Herb's also on, who lives on Gulf.
I'm also on.
Okay.
Good.
Um,
So we have pond of butters. They're good. This is good. We need a butters.
Yes, yeah.
An
And I'm
exciting topic.
Hi, Herb, how are you? I didn't
I'm good.
see you there. We have had a number of discussions, we, the Natural Resource Advisory Board, with the Association to Preserve Cape Cod and with the Cape Cod National Seashore. And there's some strong consensus that there are significant environmental issues with the ponds. This is due both to several causes: a rapid increase in temperature. It's due to the nitrogen content in the pond and flowing into the pond. This sounds very similar to issues in the harbor. There's a special twist to the ponds, and that is the phosphorus flow into the ponds is also important. So we are preparing to put together a testing program to verify the actual extent of the risk. Herb is chairman of the Gulf Pond Owners Association, plays a key role in that. Gupaka. Laura's doing the same groundwork for Long Pond. We are going to meet with the Comprehensive Wastewater Planning Committee to understand what technology has been developed that might be useful and what is being developed. And any information that would help us on that point would be greatly appreciated. At least for me, the problem then comes down to this: we can verify the risk or not, but let's say we verify the risk. We verify some technology that would help us deal with the risk. Then we have to implement it. And what I'm asking for is some guidance on the process, both to implement and to fund. The thing that concerns us about, or at least concerns me about implementation, is that you've got a large number of properties abutting each of these ponds, particularly Long and Gull. How do we get them on board? Can we force them to be on board if we can show that there's a risk? Where are some sources of finance? We know how to do the science, we don't know how to do the implementation, and that's basically the questions I'm raising. I don't know if Laura and Herb want to add anything to that.
Yeah, we're at the data gathering point here for this plan. It's going to take some time to put the plan together. One of the points, and we're looking at a plan that we expect to be a 10-year plan. There won't be another plan done for 10 years. So we're looking out for the 10 years on how to protect the ponds for that 10-year period. We're getting information, and we're just starting on this, but we're getting pretty consistent information that the source of nutrients in the ponds comes through groundwater flow, by and large. That creates the interest in the abutting properties and the septic systems on those properties. And one of the data points we want to start with is a complete census of the houses, of the properties directly abutting the ponds and their septic systems, the status of their septic systems. We had done that for Gull Pond in Gupaka many years ago, but I doubt that's current. So one of our questions to the board and to Hillary is, does the town currently have such a census for, should go back, there were 8 ponds that were identified for testing for cyanobacteria this year. We at Gupaka ran that program. They were Duck, Great, Dyer, Long, Gull, Higgins, Williams, and Herring ponds. So when we talk about the ponds, those are the ponds we're talking about. And the first question is, does the town or the Board of Health have a census of all the properties that abut those 8 ponds and the status of their septic systems?
So I can answer that. We have a couple different resources. We did not call out specifically the ponds in the database that we are creating here. That's taken what feels like an eternity to complete and is not yet completed, but we've had several AmeriCorps members slowly entering data into a database of all the cesspools all over town. It's not complete yet. It's an easier job just to pull out the property surrounding the ponds. That's not too tricky to do. So it's not done. It could be done relatively easily in a short amount of time. The other thing we have that you can look at is on the Cape Cod Commission website. They have the work that EPG did, GIS work that shows properties with septic tanks and leach fields. If there's no information on a site surrounding the pond, you would see that there's a cesspool there. So it's not user-friendly in the way that it's set up, but you could have a look at that and see.
Hillary, is there any process that would encourage or require properties with cesspools to upgrade? If it could be shown, and in particular, if it could be shown that there's a risk to the pond of some sort?
Well, I think the board has been hesitant to require upgrades or make regulations about that in prior years, waiting for our comprehensive wastewater plan. So for many years, we've been sitting, waiting for that before we order people to upgrade and change regulation. But I think our eyes were opened 2, if not 3 years ago, when we had the cyanobacteria in Gull Pond. So I think we recognize that we can't continue to sit by and wait and wait and wait. So the thought was that we didn't want to cause people to upgrade to a system that's just, say, standard Title V, when in, you know, a year or 2, when we have our comprehensive plan, it's going to say, now you need to put in enhanced IA. So we've sort of been in a holding pattern.
And we're still are.
The comprehensive plan is the responsibility of the wastewater planning committee.
I'm sorry, John, what was that? I didn't hear you.
The plan that you referred to.
Oh, the comprehensive plan. Yes. Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's not the wastewater committee anymore. It's the Clean Water Action Committee. And it's not called a comprehensive plan anymore. It's called a watershed permit. But if you interchange all of those terms, we're talking about the same thing, the townwide plan.
Right. Only 6 months behind things, so that's no problem.
And I also think they are going to be at the same place you are, John, as far as how do you get people ready for the big drop, let's say, where the Board of Health says we are going to take away every cesspool in the town of Wellfleet by regulation. Okay, that's the next big drop, and that you know, who's going to say that, you know, but working towards where we may need sewering, we don't need sewering, the spots, etc. The whole comprehensive plan, that's the blueprint that we all use to sell or to change regulations, you know.
Can I jump in?
Etc.
I was gonna say that we're working on regulations and coming up with the regulations. Eventually, the cesspools will be dealt with here in the town. It's just Hillary explained it, I thought, pretty well. But we are actively trying to get rid of all the cesspools, so that's going to be happening.
And
Gary, to your point, Gary, I think the only way
IA.
that's going to happen, Gary, is through regulation. The way
Oh,
Truro did.
absolutely, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, but
Well,
we've
you know,
been talking
when-
about it for quite a while.
When we look
Go ahead.
at the amount of money that we have right now to assist the public to get an IA if they upgrade, okay, that would be invaluable to the people who have cesspools, who have cesspools by the ponds. I mean, that would be wonderful, you know, to be able to have that. But it's only, what is it, $25,000? So, and that might do, I think Nick was saying it might do 8 IAs, you know, to convert from a cesspool. But I think that's where the Board of Health at least has been focused. We want to get rid of the cesspools. That's primarily number one.
It's
before
gonna
we
happen
do
at some point.
Other big things. Yeah, yeah.
Laura,
It has-
Laura, you've had your hand up a couple times.
I was just looking to clarify, thank you. At the moment, though, the regulation is that unless your property changes hands, no one has to upgrade, is that right?
So that's half of it. So it
Okay.
gets triggered upon an inspection. So if folks undertake construction projects as well, over $10,000, it triggers an inspection and a cesspool automatically fails on inspection. However, Title V gives folks who perform voluntary inspections 2 years to upgrade. But once folks trip that, then they're in the system to upgrade as well. So it's the transfer of property or the pulling of a building permit.
I think, go back to Janet's comment, if I may, it's not only the cesspools which are concerned, they're sort of the top of the ladder. In order to deal with the phosphorus issue, we may have to require in some way some addition to Title V technology. That's a guess on my part, but it's not impossible to think of it. Hillary, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but the phosphorus removing systems are still so new that we're not even sure if they're functioning yet. So they're still fully under evaluation. And, you know, I think nitrogen, while it's not the limiting factor in ponds, it's also affecting the ponds as well. So it really is the nitrogen and the phosphorus. And I think truly the farther we can move these systems away from the pond's edge, you know, the better. But again, every day we wait, the technology is, you know, getting more refined and being studied. But then again, we're one day closer to damaging the pond. So we're really stuck. And I talk about this all the time, as being stuck in this god awful place where if we wait too long, we've waited too long, but doing something too soon might not be the right thing either. So it's really, it's not an easy thing to contemplate here. It's really troubling. It's very, very troubling.
I would say stay tuned.
Yeah, remember, our concept is we're trying to develop a plan that's going to be in place for 10 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And with the amount of work that's being done on septic systems, we're hopeful that within that time period, there is going to be an effective AI system that will remove phosphates. They're pretty good now. They're the ones that they're pretty good now at nitrates already, but not at phosphates. But looking over a 10-year period, we're really hopeful that they will remove phosphates as well, that's why our interest is now building a database of all the properties that are on the pond with in the septic system.
I don't think that's difficult to do. I think that's easier than what we were trying to do. So I mean, we can begin to work on that. I'm hoping this pandemic sort of settles down in another 2 to 3 weeks. And my new assistant just came on board. So we're going to have more capability soon. It's been challenging, but I will keep that on my whiteboard here, and we will get that to you, because that's, you know, an easier lift than my bigger picture of wanting to see all the properties in town. So we'll get that to you in the near term. I don't want to promise a month, but you know, give us a little bit of time here and we'll get that.
What kind of study? Oh, for the study of the ponds.
And the other thing I was going to suggest, you might want to reach out to Emily Michelle Olmsted at Barnstable County. She gave a presentation at the MHOA conference, and it might be available on their website on the 3 phosphorus removing systems. And it's pretty darn interesting. So it might be good just to have a look at that, so you know what sort of technologies are out there.
Yeah,
Are there
thank you.
any,
We were going to try and meet with Brian Baumgart.
Yeah,
Baumgart?
just as good. I think Emily Michelle gave the presentation, but he'll be fully aware of them. You might want both of them.
Okay, thanks.
does the, Hillary, to your knowledge, does the Barnstable County organization, Cape Cod Commission, et cetera, have any funding sources that we could use to help develop, either support the testing or develop a plan? Because we might well prefer to outsource some of that than to do it internally.
To develop your pond plan or to?
The plan. Take the data and turn it into I mean, the data is necessary to give substance to the plan, to say that we have to do something. But then we need a plan. And
Yeah, so,
I'm looking
you might
for
wanna
some help on that.
yeah, you might want to reach out to the Cape Cod Commission. I read, I think this morning through maybe APCC or someone, they were advocating through the ARPA funds that the county got to do sort of a regional lake and pond plan. So you might want to lend support to that effort through the ARPA funding. So I know there's a link on the town website to a survey for the ARPA funding, but perhaps a conversation with the Cape Cod Commission just to see where they are with that and then add support to that.
Who would be the contact at the commission that might be most helpful?
I would start probably with Erin Perry, and she could point you to the right person if she is not.
That's fine. Great.
But also I would fill out the survey.
Right. And
because-
the woman that described the survey last night offered herself to any organization or anyone in town to explain the funding and the different ways it's cut off. So if you go to Zoom and look at the select board meeting last night, she had the beginning of the meeting. So you don't have to sit through the 3 hours. It's right in the beginning and it's all the information you may need, you know?
Okay, thank you, Janet. That's good.
Yes.
Hillary, following up on what Janet said, isn't there funding available for loans through Barnstable counties for the septic system improvements? And it's extensive funding and it lasts for 30 years, I believe.
So it's a low interest loan just to upgrade the septic system.
Yeah.
And I think the last I heard their finance rate was comparable to a bank. So I don't know if there's huge incentive in looking at that right now, but it has served a lot of people really well over the years. So it's a source of money that's there. And we continue to evaluate operation and maintenance plans and IA servicing, with the county. We're just not at a point yet to sign any type of agreements.
Okay, well, I hope we helped you guys a little bit, so.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. I guess one of the takeaways is the meeting with what used to be the wastewater planning committee becomes a little bit more interesting, that if they have a sort of a global plan that we all need, we need to push on that.
Well, everybody in this town loves the ponds that we do have and we want to keep them. So, we're behind you and hopefully we can get this thing ironed out someday. So,
Herb, Laura, anything else you'd like to add as we wrap it up?
I don't think so. I just to emphasize that as far as IA systems, the message we're getting is that to benefit the ponds, we've really got to reach a point where the IA systems are going to be removing phosphorus. So,
And nitrogen, the two.
And nitrogen as well, yes, both nitrogen and phosphates. So.
okay,
I hope
well,
that's
thank you
coming
very
soon.
much, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
We'll be sure to keep you informed as we try to move forward.
Great.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you for working on the census for us.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, next
Bye, all.
issue.
Goodbye. Thank you.
COVID-19 and John Wallace's letter. to be addressed?
COVID-19, I don't know that we have a whole heck of a lot to discuss other than the fact that we are distributing test kits tomorrow from the transfer station from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. I'm hoping to target those that are a known close contact or those that are symptomatic. I really want to put these tests in the hands of people that actually need them now. What I don't want is for people to pick them up and hoard them for the future. So I'm hoping that people that pick them up actually use them this week or next week while the need is so great. So with some of our previous test kits that we distributed that were free from Barnstable County, I think some people held on to them and took away a need or a tool that someone else could have used because they were waiting and waiting for their, event to occur. So I'm hoping that the messaging went out was clear that, first go around of distribution is for these folks that need it now that can't get a test.
Who's distributing them, Hillary? Who's distributing them?
Myself, my assistant, and my AmeriCorps member will be up at the
Good,
transfer
good.
station.
Okay.
We've requested the police send someone along as well because
Good.
these things can get a little dicey, and we
You know,
might
the
need
thing I was thinking, and this is very devious, and I probably shouldn't say it because it's being recorded, but if you ask the question, will you be using them this week?
Yes, I mean,
And just ask them that with no reference, and then get the answer. And if they say, no, I have a wedding in 6 weeks that my daughter's coming in this, you say, I hope it still works by then. Just give them a little
and
bit of doubt.
so that's what we know. We know that they expire in May. I think I'm looking at the kit right now.
Well, that we just allude, even if you just allude that we're really, are you going to use them this week?
I know, and I guess Eastham received some before the holidays, and all I heard was how crazy the first rush was there of people getting the tests and needing the tests. And I think we're in a slightly different space and place right now because the holidays are over. And I think there was such a rush for people to want to test before they gathered, and there were no tests available except these free tests that the Baker-Polito administration.
So you may
dished out.
not have been a problem. Yes.
Yeah, and I think our problem is greater now. Our problem is great now, don't get me wrong, but the desire to test, I think, is slightly different at this point.
Yes.
because
Yeah, I think you're
the
right.
holidays are over. So
Good.
I'm really hopeful that people that come actually really need them and have no interest in hoarding them. So I mean, and it's going to be first come, first serve until they're gone. I'm holding on to a few for police and fire and town staff.
Good.
Some are getting distributed to the school. And then I have another small cache coming from the state. They said sometime soon, dates unknown, of course, but those tests come with a lot of strings attached where I actually have to administer them myself. Which is a nightmare, but we don't have any extra money in our budgets to buy test kits, and what are we to do? So perhaps we'll hold a couple clinics when those come in and try and get a couple people, or maybe we'll hold them till like spring break, or I don't know. We'll find the right time to use them, but at least we'll have them if somebody calls in a bind and says my elderly mom has symptoms, I can't get her out, and we could go to her and do that.
Right.
So it's a service we can offer. It's not ideal, clearly. It puts myself at risk, but but it's something that we'll have to use. So there's that. So that's tomorrow's fun. I'm not even going to report on our case counts because I don't think it's worth reporting on, because we're not catching any of the at-home testers in those numbers. So I don't know what it's worth to even talk about that. And we did go out and visit our businesses. We had gotten a couple complaints in about this business or that business not requiring masks. So we did go out this week and visited businesses, dropped off the order, and spoke with people in the community. So
good.
So that's all going on too.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that information, Hillary.
Thanks for the update.
Yeah, of
All
course.
right,
And
now what do you want to do about the letter of the Board of Health from John Walls?
I gotta look at it again. And I don't even remember what he was asking.
Yeah, go ahead,
Basically
Deb.
about the medical basis for the, it's basically proof about masking, social distancing, vaccines. What's the medical basis behind their recommendation?
And we should send them to our department, our Massachusetts Department of Health and all their research. That's it, you know?
Yeah, sure. He could reach out. He could certainly reach out to Dr. Katie Brown with DPH.
Right. And as
That
Nick
would
said, CDC, when he was in practice, that was his guideline. You know, the CDC, as Nick says, runs public. So I think that's what we have to do. I think he was handled quickly by the select board. Specifically, John Wolf really gave him an earful, very articulately and from experience, and just closed his statement by saying, we don't have time for this right now. We're trying to deal with the pressures and the needs of our community, you know, in other words. So, but you know, the letter is interesting in that he wishes also to reserve the right to have a follow-up item on subsequent select board meetings. And the whole select board sent him to the Department of Health. You know, the Department of Health is following the CDC guidelines, and they're the experts. We're the select board, you know?
Yes,
So
exactly.
it was
Exactly.
nicely
And I
done.
mean,
It was nicely done.
Good.
I watched, yeah.
Great.
You can
Okay,
see I have,
well, I just have, I have a little question. Yeah, I didn't listen to the select board meeting last night. The only question I have about, okay, was some of them nicely done. How many towns on the Cape have a mask mandate, Hillary?
Provincetown, Eastham, Truro, Wellfleet, Yarmouth has an
Yarmouth.
advisory. Harwich and I don't know. More are coming forward with
They're
one.
probably possibly coming.
I can tell you that
forward.
Chatham does.
Chatham.
Does now.
Ken, yeah, I think that's really based on the amount of virus that's evident in the community. How many cases, how many, you know, the ratio of how many cases per 100,000 even. And I think if I can get it right, Hillary, we have quite a few cases now.
Well, I mean, I could
that
run
you know about it. I think it's under reporting. There's no doubt. But I
Yes,
think
yes,
last
I'm
night
gonna.
you mentioned 46 cases.
49. There were 49
49
cases
in the last 2
previous
weeks.
2 weeks, 25 in the past week. But I want to be really clear that that is only tests
Exactly.
reported into the digital reporting system, and
Right.
any home test that anybody took positive was not reported. So those folks.
If you look at the guidelines, basically, if there are 100 cases per 100,000 population, that's a very high transmission area. We have 50 cases maybe in 3,000. I mean, we have a lot of virus in town. So
Yes,
as far as the
absolutely.
mandate, that's what I'm telling Ken, it's based on how much virus you think is circulating around town. And right now, I think we have an awful lot.
Yeah,
So I
but
think the mandate would
but
continue.
Nick, the question I'm having, okay, is,
Right.
I know it's out there, but a question for you. We have a lot of cases in town, but Wellfleet has a mask mandate. Has the mask mandate in the town of Wellfleet prevented us from our case count going up?
we have no idea.
But I think the idea, I think it's prevented those getting the virus who have, you know,
Why?
you know, as far as I think
we
it's.
don't have many businesses in town up and going.
Yeah.
I don't agree with everything John wrote. And, you know, he was very articulated. I don't believe. I'm going to go back to the selectmen's meeting and I'll watch that. But people, we work with people in town.
Right.
We should be able to give them the answers that anybody asks. The select board should do the same. They should answer somebody's question. Somebody comes to us, we give them an answer. Why did we want to give a mask mandate? We use health reasons. The board of selectmen used a political thing. Again, that's my argument against the select board getting involved with the mask mandate, because we're using health guidelines, the CDC, and they're not. They may think they are, but we're following it a lot closer than they are. And again, we work for the public. We don't
Right.
work for each other. We don't work for the selectmen. We're here to help the people in town.
Right.
So that's gonna be my big argument. It will always be my big argument. And I don't remember a mask mandate, you can delve deeply into, your rights about all sorts of First Amendment, Second, Third, anyone you want to look at. A mask mandate, even though it could have been a health emergency, is infringing along a lot of people's constitutional rights. And I will always argue against infringing on anybody's rights.
Well, Ken,
Well-
I think that the nature of public health does in fact ask all of us to sacrifice. I mean, that's just the way it is for the community's sake.
So,
So this has been an
Public
ongoing. since
Public
there's been
health
public health, this
historically
has been-
has had conflict with
Exactly.
with those rights. But the idea is we have to make decisions for the greater good.
Right.
We're not, that's the role here. So,
again, they're here for the greater good, but we also have to answer people's questions of why things are being done. Okay.
Ken,
yes, we
Deb,
do.
go ahead.
we have very narrow scope. Our responsibilities are defined by state statute, by the bylaws of the town of Wellfleet, and by regulation. The desire to speak to the people, I understand that and I respect that, but our responsibilities are defined very particularly. And I think it's appropriate to refer people to the State Board of Health, to refer people to CDC statements, and to say, we follow the science, and this is where you can find the best recitation of the science. It is not our responsibility to talk to people and to say, what their constitutional rights are or what their constitutional rights are not. That is not part of the role we were appointed to serve. Now, you may feel very differently, but there is nothing in our charge that indicates that is our responsibility.
Then you can argue against it as well. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole about saying which way we should go, but personal rights, and I've always argued that people have their own responsibility for their own health and protect themselves. A mask mandate in this town, I haven't felt has done any good. There aren't that many businesses in town that are open at this moment. And I guarantee you, anybody that probably has the COVID in this town right at this moment was out of town when they got it. And when people
They may have
go
been
to
in town at a gathering.
I'm sorry, that Hillary?
They may have been in town at a private gathering
Possibly,
or
could have been, yeah.
having a dinner
And-
party
And I'll never
or,
disagree with that as well.
Yeah.
But the majority, like you say, we have 3,000 people in this town. But when the selectmen when they took the mask mandate out of the Board of Health's hands, because we can't rescind the mask mandate any longer, because they made it political, and we're just trying to keep it a health orientated. I read into John's letter why he was asking the Board of Selectmen this. Why are they reinforcing mask mandate for the town when it's a Board of Health job to do? So, but that's that. All right, so do we have anything else tonight? Does anybody else want to make a statement or comment about anything? No? So when is our next meeting, Hillary?
our next meeting would be February 9th.
Okay. Well, hopefully Omicron will go away. and
That's the hope. It may be.
Well, it's already dropping.
Yeah.
You look at the what is it? The DEP up in Boston, the sampling of
Wastewa-
water in the sewage.
The
is
wastewater,
dropping.
yeah.
It's dropping.
Yeah, the hope
dramatically.
the hope is that by spring, I think Omicron may have been burnt out. Maybe sooner, we'll see.
By spraying?
Well, it may be. I mean, I think we'll have to wait and see. I mean, so many people getting infected that I
No, I
think,
guess I don't understand what you mean by spraying.
no, by,
No, by
by,
spring.
by spring.
Oh, by spring. Okay, I thought you knew something that was
He had
going
a
on. that I
special
No,
was
no, no.
He's got it.
completely
Sorry for my
unaware of.
sorry
Okay,
for my
sorry,
enunciation.
spring,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm just getting over the COVID myself. I'm not
I
quite
know you
myself
are.
yet.
Wow. Hillary, can I ask just a technical for you and Gary or anyone else, a technical question about the first case, the variance?
Yeah,
What is the basis for the 3 feet? You know, that,
the
What
maximum.
was, what's the
yeah,
objection?
yeah, what is the problem with 6 feet? You know,
It's
is there an
just too-
efficiency issue or is it? I
Gary, you're
didn't know
muted.
what the technical issue was on that. You don't understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
Gary, can't hear you.
Okay, it's aeration.
Is
Okay,
that all? Okay.
so they
So
put
it's
in a vent to sort of
So just the
counteract.
vent, so that's all it was. It wasn't any, so there's no effect on efficiency or anything otherwise that we have.
No.
Okay.
No, because
It's
it's
just-
well
okay.
enough above
And
the
they put a
ground.
vent in. So it's okay.
I had never seen that either, no.
Yeah, this first time we've come across this. I was just curious. And thank you, Gary, for all that technical stuff. I really
Yeah, thank
appreciate
God
it.
for you, thank God for you too.
It would have been a lot different. If, I know Hillary knows all that stuff too. And for me, it was a whole new ballgame.
Right.
And
Like,
Debbie,
like I said to
you
the
did good with
applicant,
the cesspools, you did great.
well, like I told the applicant, if you could only upgrade half of a property, that would have made my life so much easier for
Yeah.
so many years.
Right.
Through that.
Very good.
Okay,
All right.
well, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? I'll
I
make a
move.
mo- I'll second yours, Gary.
All right.
All in favor?
Everybody stay
Aye.
healthy.
You
Thank
guys
you,
have a
Ken.
great night.
Bye.
And
Good night,
Hillary,
Hillary.
thank
Thank you.
you for all your
Rebecca,
help,
thank you
Hillary.
again.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
maybe I'll see some of you tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
You need help?
Yeah, can I get 10? Can I get 10 tests?
How many people live with you? And bring your proof of residency.
Hillary,
Have a great night, folks.
Oh, did you need
Thank
help? too?
you.
Okay. Good night, Hillary. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
Good night.